Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on? YouTube, you guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is, what is it today? Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023. We're going to be covering the news today. We got another rundown video for you guys today. I'd actually made this video earlier this morning, and something wound up happening with the recording, so we're going to try to knock it out again. Apologize if there's a little bit of noise with the rain. I guess there's a huge storm sweeping across the country right now. Here in Chicago, we just got really heavy rains, and it's really kind of gloomy. Although I was talking to a buddy of mine who's driving from Chicago out to San Diego. I think he stopped in Santa Fe for a couple days, and he said he couldn't even cross into Arizona. He said, what is it, I-80 or whatever that expressway out there is shut down. He said it's like 80 miles an hour winds, crazy snow. So yeah, it looks like we're going to be blanketed with snow for the next couple days here. A lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to be talking about mortgage rates. We're going to be talking about student loan, the Supreme Court's decision on student loan forgiveness, which will be coming at the end of this month. Restaurants are looking to try out subscription services. Kyocera is moving their phone manufacturing out of China and over to Japan, saying it's no longer viable to manufacture in China due to labor costs as well as U.S. sanctions. Saw an interesting article about how kids aren't getting their driver's licenses anymore. I guess the rate at which 16-year-olds are getting driver's licenses right now is at about 25%, compared to 43% just a couple years ago. And even a lot of 18-year-olds and even a lot of young adults are just deciding not to get driver's licenses. A lot of stuff to talk about in today's video, so let's hop right on into it. Before we start today's video, shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Refersion. Check out Refersion.com, link in the description box below. Refersion is an affiliate marketing platform. So if you guys are affiliates yourselves, head on over to Refersion, sign up for an account. They do have an affiliate network. So if you're looking for different affiliate programs to promote, you're looking for different products to promote, different niches and services for different products, go set yourself up an account over at Refersion. You can browse their affiliate network and find potential affiliate programs you could use to advertise. And if you are an e-commerce business owner, really any type of business owner, if you want to get an army of affiliates working for you, you can set up an account at Refersion. It'll help you manage all your affiliates. Your affiliates can create unique links from the back end of their dashboard. You can mass pay everybody off at the end of the month with a single click or just 2 or 3 clicks. Pay everybody out with PayPal. I manage affiliate programs for 4 or 5 different businesses. I use Refersion for all of them. I'm a big fan, and I am an affiliate for a number of companies through Refersion as well. One thing I like about Refersion is I have one login, and I can access all these different affiliate programs that I'm part of. So again, link will be in the description box below. Let's start with the markets yesterday. So yesterday, the Dow closed down 697 points. NASDAQ closed down 295 points. The S&P 500 closed down 2%. And most top cryptos were down about 3 or 4% overnight. Saw this yesterday. The average mortgage rate for a 30-year mortgage right now is sitting at 6.85%. I think it probably won't be too long until mortgage rates are over 7%. And it's not guaranteed to happen, but I think it's very, very possible that we could potentially see mortgage rates over 10% sometime in 2023. I didn't have this in my notes, but I happened to see a video earlier today from Stoic Finance. If you guys haven't checked out Stoic Finance, check out his channel. Awesome channel about the markets, about real estate. Lately, he's been talking a lot about BlackRock and things like that. It's kind of funny. I think his channel would be a lot bigger if he was kind of one of these YouTubers that went along with the narrative and didn't say certain things you're not supposed to be. Like, I think he would be like a Graham Stephan style channel if he, kind of played nice like Graham Stephan does. But, he calls out BlackRock, and he talks about a lot of things that YouTube and really just, quote unquote, they, for lack of a better word, wouldn't want you talking about. And he put out a really, really good video today basically talking about BlackRock and a lot of these institutional home buyers who are pricing Americans out of their homes. And just to put it in a nutshell, I know a lot of you guys are into crypto. You know how when it comes to crypto, we often talk about how whales will drive up the price, get a bunch of people to FOMO, buy in, then they'll crash the price. They'll buy the coins cheaper, then they'll drive the price up again, sell at the top, crash the price, buy back in at the bottom, and just kind of make money off the rest of us. Well, Stoic Finance makes a good case for how Zillow and BlackRock and all of these iBuyers. Isn't it kind of weird how they all decided to stop buying homes at the exact same time? It's almost as if they caused the run up, they caused the crash. They're going to wait for people to get foreclosed on, wait for people to do short sales, and then they're going to sweep in and buy all these homes on the cheap. But check the video out for yourself. He does a much better job of explaining it than I can. I thought this was kind of interesting. Saw an article yesterday. The amount of funds raised by venture capital companies plunged to a decade low. Fourth quarter of 2022, only $20.6 billion was raised by VCs. That's a 65% decline from the prior quarter and the lowest since 2013. That's why you're seeing a lot of these tech layoffs, right? A lot of these tech companies, a lot of these social media companies were essentially zombie companies who are not profitable and we're just living off cheap interest and VC money. So without the VC money, a lot of these companies are going to dry up and die. The yield curve is signaling a recession by June. And that kind of coincides with what JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon have said, that Americans are going to run out of money by midsummer. Goldman Sachs is saying Americans are going to run out of money by the end of the year. So another article yesterday, Biden's student loan forgiveness could get a cold reception when it gets to the Supreme Court. We've talked about this in recent weeks and on recent videos. People have not been paying student loans for almost going on 3 years, maybe even over 3 years now. Biden passed student loan forgiveness through executive order. Obviously, it needed to go through Congress. It's been... The Congressional Budget Office said it could cost $400 billion. The Wharton School of Business actually said it could exceed $1 trillion. And again, Biden passed this with an executive order. It was, people sued in court over this, and the Supreme Court is set to hear the case on February 28th. Now, what's going to be interesting about this, I think on average, the average student loan payment is just under $400. Some people have $600, $800, even $1,000 student loan payments. And so what's going to happen to the economy? Keep in mind, we have 70% of our economy is consumer spending. We have a consumer economy. The economy would grind to a halt. Markets would crash. People would lose their homes. People would lose their jobs. If everybody stops spending money all of a sudden. Well, we already know savings rates are low. We already know people have maxed out their credit cards. What is going to happen when people who aren't used to having to pay student loans suddenly after 3 years have an extra $200, $400, $600, $800,000 payment every month? People are going to have a lot less money to spend on other things. And I think that's what could kind of trigger the retail layoffs, more manufacturing layoffs, and even more layoffs in the service sector. Let's see here. Okay, so here's another interesting thing. So the argument about the student loans basically hinges on the HEROES Act, which was passed following 9/11. And so one argument is whether Biden even has the power to do this. But another part of this argument is the HEROES Act essentially gives Biden the power to potentially, if it does give him the power, if the Supreme Court decides it does give him the power to forgive everybody's debt, the Mexican beer cough emergency ends on May 11th. So if everything isn't completed by May 11th, there's no longer an emergency, and Biden would no longer have the power to do that. So this whole thing will be really interesting to see how it shakes out. Fox 5 had an interesting article yesterday. More restaurants are trying subscription services. How do you guys feel about subscriptions? Do you like subscriptions, or do you kind of miss the days when you could buy something outright and own it? It used to be you could buy Photoshop, you pay a one-time fee, and you own it for as long as you have your computer. Now all of these things have turned into monthly services. It's like our entire lives have been subscriptionized now. People pay for meal delivery at home. People pay for pet food, for razors, for toilet paper. So why not restaurants? We have restaurants like P.F. Chang's and Panera who are experimenting with various subscription services. Some you pay a monthly fee and you get a free appetizer every time you go in. I think Panera maybe has a monthly fee where you can go get free coffee every morning. Other restaurants are trying where you get unlimited soft drinks. And I thought this was kind of interesting. The average American currently juggles about 6.7 subscriptions, which is up from 4.2 subscriptions in 2019. And I'd be kind of curious to hear from you guys. How many subscriptions do you have? What do I got right now? I think I got Netflix, I got HBO Max, and I think most of the other subscriptions I'm subscribed to are things like TubeBuddy or actual kind of services meant to kind of help me make money. We kind of touched on this in the preview for today's video. Kyocera says it's no longer viable manufacturing phones in China due to rising labor costs as well as U.S. sanctions. Kyocera is going to be moving their factories to Japan. And even among Amazon sellers and things like that, we're starting to see more and more people no longer doing their manufacturing in China, but moving over to Indonesia, moving over to the Philippines. There's even a lot of manufacturing happening in Mexico right now. So we'll see if that trend continues. So I thought this was an interesting article. Kids are no longer getting driver's licenses. There was a Yahoo article yesterday. I believe it came from like Yahoo Life or something like that. It was titled, "Why Aren't Teens Driving Anymore?" And in the article, they said only 60% of 18-year-olds have a license compared to 80% in 1983. Think about that. 40% of 18-year-olds. 18-year-olds are adults. I know they're young adults, but 18-year-olds are adults. How are they getting to their jobs? How are they going out on dates? If you live in an urban area, if you live in a city, you can get by without a car. But if you live in a rural area or even the suburbs, you're not going to have a very interesting life without a car. Another stat they talked about in this article, the number of 16-year-olds with licenses dropped from 43% to 25% in recent years. And in the article, they talked about a mother who her son turned 16. She thought he'd be really excited to run out and get his driver's license because when she was 16, she was really excited to run out and get her driver's license. Turned out he wasn't all that interested. The article kind of goes on to talk about how teens are more interested in playing video games than being out in the world. And now with things like Xbox Live, you and 4 of your buddies, you and 6 of your buddies can hang out with headsets on. You don't actually have to go over to each other's houses. The mom also talked about how her son seemed kind of more nervous and not kind of interested in freedom and going out and kind of exploring the world and exploring life. And I thought, what do you guys think about this? What was it like when you got your driver's license? I remember I turned 16 on a Friday. I ran straight out and got my driver's license. I remember that night I went to a football game at my school, and I thought it was pretty cool that I could drive there. I remember my first car was a 1989 Toyota Camry. I think I bought it off my grandpa for a couple $100. And I remember at the football game, I wound up meeting up with some girl, and we, left the football game and went and made out somewhere. I still remember this to this day. I remember she had just smoked a Newport, and I remember how gross it was kissing her after she smoked a Newport. But I remember, having a driver's license meant everything. It meant you could go get a job. It was, a lot of our social lives as teenagers were kind of just driving around, smoking weed, driving around, hanging out. Everybody would meet up at Taco Bell late at night, and you kind of hang out in the Taco Bell parking lot. So it's kind of weird that that Gen Zers and teens and young adults today don't really have an interest in getting driver's licenses. And I thought, does this kind of tie into the remote work conversation? We as people are becoming less and less connected. We have less and less human interaction. When you go to the grocery store, you don't even have to chit-chat with the cashier for 30 seconds anymore. Right now, you just go up to the machine and do it. People hit drive-thrus. Most things could be done online. And with people working at home, there's literally people who don't leave their houses or have no contact with other humans for days at a time, sometimes maybe even weeks at a time. I know a lot of people like working at home, but you almost have to question, there's a lot of things that I think maybe we don't like doing, but we know are good for us. I don't necessarily, I work out 7 days a week. I don't always necessarily enjoy going to the gym, but I know it's good for me. I don't necessarily like brushing my teeth, but it's good for me. I'd probably like to eat hamburgers and pizza and Twinkies for every meal as opposed to healthy food, but I eat healthy food because it's good for me. I think we're kind of becoming a nation of shut-ins, and for adults, it's working remotely and not having any contact with people, and for young people, apparently, it's not getting your driver's license and just hanging out with your friends on Xbox Live. But let me know what you guys think about that. I saw another article right after that I thought kind of tied into that. This article comes from The Hill, and it said most young men are single, most young women are not. So it's kind of weird, like, how are young men single but not young women? I think there's a fairly equal amount of young men and young women. But the article went on to say young men are romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, and lonely. Psychologist says we're in a crisis of connection beyond remote work, even at work. Okay, so this was kind of my own note. It used to be a lot of people met their spouses at work. A lot of people met people they dated at work. When we're working remotely, you're not necessarily making those connections. But also, even if we were in the workplace, we live in this kind of crazy Me Too world where, I think a lot of people are scared to ask somebody at work out on a date because, God forbid it gets to the HR department and you wind up being Me Too'd. The article finished up saying that the number of sexually active Americans is at a 30-year low. But is it a coincidence that young people aren't getting their driver's licenses and in turn they're not meeting people of the opposite sex, they're not dating? Is it a coincidence that we're working remotely and people are even less connected than ever? People have even less social interaction than ever. People are single. People are lonely. Maybe all of this kind of ties in together. Wall Street Journal article, I didn't get a chance to read this one. It was pay-gated, but it was titled, The Investors Who Think Crypto Can Make... the Investors Who Still Think Crypto Can Make Them Rich. Digital currencies, bruising losses, and big risks haven't swayed those who say other paths to wealth aren't accessible to them. So, years ago when crypto was on a bull run, when crypto was doing really good, a big reason a lot of people got into crypto is because they said, look, I don't have enough money to buy a rental property. I don't have enough money to buy a home. The stock market doesn't move wildly enough to where I can actually make a significant amount of money. People said, crypto is the one shot for kind of the little guy to make it big. And I think a lot of people have soured on that over the past year of seeing kind of crypto go into a downturn, all the rug pulls, all the thefts, all the companies going under. But this article apparently highlighted a number of people who still think crypto is their path to wealth. Excuse me. We'll talk a little bit about the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment and chemical spill. I know we've been kind of harping on this one lately, but just here's some interesting things about it. So it took Mayor Pete 10 days to even acknowledge the accident. He initially downplayed it, saying we have 500 train derailments per year. Kind of what's the big deal? Kamala Harris nor Joe Biden have visited East Palestine, though I think one of them are going to be visiting in the coming days. And then so it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way when President Biden headed over to Ukraine on President's Day, essentially promising a blank check to Zelensky forever. Said, we won't leave Ukraine. We won't leave you guys. You guys have our support and our funding, essentially forever. Saw an article that talked about this. I thought this was kind of interesting. So the amount of money that we've given to support Ukraine against Russia, if you kind of divide that by the number of homeless people we have, we would have potentially had enough money to give every homeless person $170,000. Now, I'm not suggesting we just give homeless drug addicts and mentally ill people, not that all homeless people are mentally ill or drug addicts, but not even suggesting that we give people $170,000 cash and say, good luck figuring out your life. But that is a lot of money to support these people, and instead we're supporting a country across the world that up until 2 years ago, none of us even really cared about. Why are we prioritizing people in Ukraine over Americans? Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So another article, this one came from ABC 7 Chicago, although I think this is happening across the country. Cook County property taxes skyrocket for thousands of homeowners and businesses, and the article goes on to tell you how to appeal. But some homeowners and businesses were seeing more than 100%, more than a doubling of their property taxes, some upwards of 1,000%. A record 40,000 people are appealing their overly hiked property taxes. And this article featured a business called Bellamar Wine. Obviously this isn't a single family home. It's some type of warehouse or business. But they saw their property, saw their property taxes go from $42,000 in 2021 to $109,000 in 2022. They highlighted another woman who lives in the Roseland neighborhood. That's on the south side. That's actually where my family's from. Now it's kind of a bad area. But a woman saw her property taxes increase 1,000%. And there was another woman in Lawndale, another kind of not so great neighborhood, saw her property taxes go up 884%. I had some notes here. Basically, just a lot of these small home builders won't survive. Home builders are having to buy down rates for people. They're having to cut prices. We know that recently was that KB Homes had over 68% of new home builds being canceled. These home builders have to build homes to make money. They don't make money if they're not building homes. They started a lot of these projects when interest rates were next to nothing. And right now, people just aren't that interested in buying houses at almost 7% interest rates. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how all that shakes out. I'm going to skip that one. So another article, there's actually kind of a flurry of articles about this, but they're calling this the retail apocalypse. There's going to be over 800 stores closing in the U.S. in 2023. One of the big names, Bed Bath & Beyond, closing 418 stores. Party City recently filed bankruptcy. They're going to be closing 12 stores. We're also going to be seeing store closures from Walmart, Big Lots, Macy's, JCPenney's, Banana Republic, Gap, and others. And I actually just learned this, Walmart not far from me, who's actually going to be going out of business. They're right now have, I believe, 25% off everything in the store, and I've heard that it's going to be 50% off everything in the store by Friday. We've also recently heard from Walmart and Home Depot that they're getting ready for a consumer slowdown. Both shared cautious guidance for 2023, and we're also hearing that Macy's and Nordstrom's could be in big trouble later on this year. Home Depot missed their revenue expectations for the first time since 2019. People, can't afford to buy stuff. People are worried about keeping their homes and staying in their homes. They're not necessarily worried about getting brand new granite countertops. Let's talk about the layoffs because we do that in every day's video. Thus far for the year, we've had 389 tech companies lay off employees. The total of tech employees laid off is up to 108,854. One of the bigger names of the last day was Polygon. The crypto project laid off 100 people. That's 20% of the company. We also have layoffs. I think out of all these companies, I've only heard of one. One is Criteo. Criteo, I believe they do like retargeted marketing. Criteo is laying off employees, as is Zalando, MyGate, Kindi, and Fipola. These tech companies all have weird names. Consulting firm McKinsey is laying off 2,000. Yahoo had an article, the average American tenant is rent burdened. And here's what it means for the economy. The symbolic threshold was reached as income growth lagged behind rent increases. A national housing shortage and rising interest rates also contributed to higher rent burdens. Experts say several factors like spells of high unemployment or significant inventory boosts may be necessary for Americans to see widespread declines in rent. So in order for rental and even home buying prices to come down, we're going to have to see some mass layoffs. The article went on to say the average American renter is now paying more than 30% of their income on housing as wages have failed to keep up with the rent hikes and affordable units remain scarce, a new report shows. The federal government defines rent burdened as paying more than 30% of your income on shelter. A typical American renter now falls into that category. According to a recent report from Moody's Analytics, this marks the first time that's occurred in more than 20 years that the ratings agency has been tracking the metric. If we're looking at the low to moderate income families, they're taking 40% and above of all their income on rent, even if the metro area itself hasn't crossed over that 30% line yet, said Moody's Analytics senior economist Lu Chen. This 30% is such a symbolic number, and I have to say that we have been close to that 30% threshold for some time, she added. U.S. home sales have dropped to the lowest levels in more than 12 years. Existing home sales fell 0.7% last month in January, and that makes it the 12th straight month of decline. Bay Area home sales hit the lowest rates in 10 years. And just wait until the Airbnb crowd, kind of starts getting hit by this. I see a lot of Reddit posts and Facebook group posts of people who are kind of clueless about real estate, who are either still looking to get into real estate or who've managed to acquire a number of different Airbnb properties, but they don't even understand simple concepts like what a down payment is. And I think a lot of these people, at least from what I can see from these posts, are realizing that their properties can't cash flow as Airbnbs. And if your property can't cash flow as an Airbnb, typically a traditional lease or a year lease is going to be even less than an Airbnb. So I think we're going to see a lot of people who over-leverage themselves into Airbnb properties who are realizing that they can't pay their bills off Airbnb. They're looking to potentially switch to conventional leases, but they're realizing they can't pay them that way either. So what are these people going to have to do to get out of these homes? The number of investors purchasing homes is down 46% since last year, but it still makes up 18% of all home purchases. And we're starting to hear scary stats. And this is kind of where Stoic Finance's video that I talked about at the beginning of this video comes in. We're hearing that 40% of residential real estate may be owned by institutional investors by 2023. So the whole idea that you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, that could soon become a reality. But that's all I got for you guys today. Sorry, a little bit of a scrambled video, a little bit of a rushed one. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and opinions on anything and everything that we've discussed in today's video. So leave a comment down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. And if you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button down below. That's all I got for you guys today. I will catch you on tomorrow's video. Have a good day. Peace. I'm out.